Throughout the history of our country, the United States government has done what it is supposed to do. Not too surprisingly, we pay our debts. That's what we have always done. In fact, over the past 63 years, the national debt limit has been raised nearly 80 times, 49 times when a Republican has been president and 29 times when a Democrat has been president. The debt ceiling was raised 18 times under President Ronald Reagan, 7 times under President George W. Bush, and 3 times under President Donald Trump, when the national debt increased by some $8 trillion with no strings attached. Bottom line, we pay our debt. That is what a major country does, the largest economy in the world. We pay our debts. And let's be clear, what the debt ceiling is about is paying money that has already been appropriated and spent. It has nothing to do with future budgets and future spending. You could debate that. This is simply a question of paying off what has already been spent. However, in an unprecedented and outrageous way, extreme right-wing Republicans have hijacked the debt ceiling process and have said to the American people, if we don't get our way and impose savage cuts on the needs of working families, the elderly, the children, the sick, and the poor, if you don't do what we demand that you do, we are prepared to allow the United States government to default and bring our economy and the world's economy into turmoil. That's what the Republicans are essentially saying. If the right-wing Republicans force a default, it will mean the loss of millions of American jobs, interest rates on mortgages and credit cards will soar, and Americans will lose trillions of dollars in household wealth. As disastrous as it would be to default on our debt, it would be equally disastrous to pass the outrageous Republican proposals. Under their proposals, it has been estimated that up to 21 million Americans would lose Medicaid, ripping away the health care they need to stay alive. Over 1 million women, infants, and children would not receive the nutrition they need to stay healthy through the WIC program. Nutrition services, such as Meals on Wheels, would be cut for more than 1 million low-income senior citizens in this country. Over 640,000 families would lose access to rental assistance, and more than 400,000 low-income families would be evicted from Section 8 housing. 200,000 children would be thrown off of Head Start, and 180,000 kids would lose access to child care. 80,000 jobs would be cut at the VA alone, impacting the quality of care we provide to the men and women who put their lives on the line to defend us. All of this is absolutely unacceptable. Meanwhile, while imposing draconian cuts on some of the most desperate people in this country, the Republicans are refusing to ask the wealthiest people in America, the people who have never, ever had it so good, to pay 1 nickel more in taxes to start paying their fair share of taxes. Further, they are refusing to cut defense spending at a time when we already spend more on defense than the next 10 nations combined. And they have made it clear that they are prepared to hold our entire economy hostage unless the president gives in to all of their demands. And this is something we cannot accept. In my view, and the view of all of us up here, the president has the authority and the responsibility under the Constitution to make sure that we continue to pay our bills. In fact, the 14th Amendment of the Constitution clearly states, quote, it's not ambiguous, the validity of the public debt of the United States shall not be questioned, end quote. Is this a perfect solution? Is imposing the 14th Amendment a perfect solution? No, it is not. But using the 14th Amendment would allow the United States to continue to pay its bills on time and without delay, prevent an economic catastrophe, and prevent devastating cuts to some of the most vulnerable people in this country. It should be exercised if necessary.